All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 10X Tuesday interview. Today we have Shivani Peterson coming to us live out of Reno, Nevada. What's up, Shivani?
I don't know if I'll ever get to do one of these where I don't like think how wild it is that I started in the industry and had no idea what I was doing. And these Tuesday calls were like my lifeline. And then now to get to speak on one, it always blows my mind. Just blows my mind.
Uh, well, you are too kind, and I am too grateful that you're always giving back, and I always get excited. Your energy is contagious. I
We're
think
so grateful for you. You don't know what you did for all of us all over the country who, had leadership in our branches or didn't, or had an idea of what we were doing or had none. And you created this community where we could tap into and learn how to be like a trusted advisor. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know if any of us would be where we are if it wasn't for you putting this whole community together.
Well, thank you, Shivani. Well, we do have so many great people in our industry, and what your brothers are doing, what you are doing, you're building incredible communities yourself, and we got a lot of great people in our industry now creating great communities. So I love what I do. I'm super stoked to have you here. How are you doing? Like it's 2025. It's spring home buying season. I don't think I've ever seen 2 weeks with more crazy media headlines.
Yeah.
How's business and how are you doing?
It's like there's so much to be optimistic about right now. And at the same time, there's such a fine line to walk with being sensitive to the fact that people are overwhelmed and people kind of feel like deer in the headlights right now and they don't know. They're scared to make a move. They don't want to do the wrong thing. And I think this applies to consumers, loan officers, and realtors alike. Everyone's feeling a little less certain about how to do the next best thing. But at the same time, from our side, if you're paying really close attention, there's so much to be optimistic about.
Well, I don't know. I did a post yesterday on LinkedIn, and I think I also put it on Facebook. But the theme of it came from like never give up. And I see a lot of people that give up on themselves. They're like, oh, I'm just a struggler in the mortgage industry. Obviously, a lot of people have given up on the mortgage business because we've got half the people in the industry. But I also see people really thriving. And again, the people I'm interviewing, while they're not having career production highs, they are gaining market share. They are winning. And I don't know, I feel like the path to winning has never been more clear. And the path to struggling has never been more clear. What are your thoughts on that?
It's tough because I know a lot of people beat themselves up for missing opportunities in the market, right? With interest rates and home prices and inventory. It's not just that our buyers beat themselves up when they feel like they should have bought 5 years ago. There's loan officers all over the country who feel like they didn't capitalize on the last, refi boom, or they didn't capitalize the last time that they could have captured a bunch of purchase business. And there's only so much that you can do of beating yourself up before you either choose to like focus on the path that you're saying forward or mail it in and get on the path to continue struggling. You're not alone if you're beating yourself up right now. There's so many people. But at the same time, there's so many resources you could tap into. The last interview I did with you, I think, was about preparing for the next boom. And like you never know when the opportunity's right around the corner in our industry and how you can ready yourself for it. I think that's a good one to watch again now because we're right on the cusp of something big.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. What are your thoughts on some of the recent moves? You see Zillow building this all-in-one app. You see Rocket by
Rocket.
Mr. Cooper and Redfin, as a local professional, a local advisor. How do you personally feel about that?
You gotta pay attention here because I was listening to an interview that Rocket CEO had done, and I was pretty impressed with how well he has a pulse on what's happening. He's like, I get it that we shine in refinance opportunities, and people don't love seeing our name on a pre-approval letter because they don't know if, that borrower has truly been qualified. I thought that was wild for the CEO to know that, right? To have that good a pulse of what's actually happening on the consumer level from the other side. So that got my attention. I was like, whoa, this guy, like, we need to pay attention to what they're doing here. And I've been concerned about technology and AI moving in on us for a long time. I thought, we really have to learn how to use technology on our side. We have to learn how to lean into human connection to build trust. We have to establish ourselves as people's source of calm. Rocket is going to is working, right, to have like this all-in-one place where they can do everything for you, for the consumer, and make it so easy. And the technology is going to get better and better to where it can handle a more complex file. So you got to again come back to looking at, like, why would you choose to work with you? Why would you choose to work with the individual mortgage advisor? And I think it's really going to come down to, you have the most perfected process where everything is an amazing experience for the client, and where you lean in to being a human being, where you lean in to, I'm a real person just like you in your market who's got a pulse on things. So that being said, is your process perfectly dialed? And two, are you really treating your clients like humans and working to connect with them on a really personal level?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. The only thing I would add to that is you've got to leverage your locality. You are local, and you need to win your zip code, and you need to win your database. So for everybody on this call right now, like if you are showing up, everything that Shivani just said, you need a killer loan experience, and it can't be a mortgage transaction. It needs to be a wealth building experience that you're helping a consumer with, going beyond the transaction, leveraging your locality, leveraging your humanity. I just put a couple quotes from two of the biggest disruptors in the space right now. One of them is a quote from last week's press release. Like, this is cut and paste out of their press release. The Rocket CEO said, with the right data and AI infrastructure, we will deliver the right products at the right time. That's how we build lifelong relationships, by proactively unlocking benefits and meeting the needs before they arise. Again, they're leveraging data and AI. And then the chairman of Zillow, this is actually a quote I wrote down. I was at the Inman conference pre-COVID, and from stage, he said, "The agent of the future is a coach and advisor to home buyers and home sellers." And so, guys, that's the bullseye. And so, are you level 10 at being local for the people that are local? And are you present with your database?
You have to
Um,
look at what we're up against. Like, do you work at a company that has the kind of budget to tackle technology the way that Rocket's going to? I think most of us are not. So then are you going to lean into the experience you're personally providing, or are you just going to let the technology move you to the side?
yeah, well, I will be happy to tell everybody on this call. I mean, if you're on this call, you are tuned in to Trust Engine and Mortgage Coach, and I can tell you we have the same technology. I mean, we're building what we call Mortgage Coach Next Gen. We're using data. We are the leaders in data. Like, no one manages more data than Trust Engine does, and no one is more predictive with who's most likely to buy, sell, or refinance. And we're building that into Mortgage Coach, so that literally we will be building, by the end of the year with Mortgage Coach Next Gen, we will be using data and AI to build your TCA for you, so that all you need to do is verify, like, oh, this is, thank you, Mortgage Coach, this is ready to send. Or, you know what? I need to finesse this a little bit. I need to put my understanding of the consumer, my understanding of the location into it. And within a minute or less, you'll be able to update the Mortgage Coach presentation and send it to a consumer. So, but here's
That's
the deal.
wild for it to get even easier, right?
Yeah, but here's the deal. Like, Shivani's going to execute. The people that I interview are going to execute. Too many people are not leveraging technology. At least that's my thesis. Um, Now, what are your thoughts on marketing? Because I also have this belief that if you are using data, you're using AI, and you're a great marketer, like, you're going to the Forward event, you're following Neil, you're following Shivani, you're following both of your brothers, like, you will always have a seat at the table. Do you agree with that?
Yes, because in order to have a personal brand, in order to properly market yourself, You figured out what your value add is in this equation amongst a sea of other loan officers. So that's what gives you a seat at the table is forget marketing, what your value add is, what your unique value proposition is. A lot of people don't even know what it is to then go on and market it. When you focus on marketing, you're forced to kind of fish out these details of your business to highlight. So many people have said to me like, "Well, how do you prioritize marketing at the level you do while also doing the production you do?" And to me, it's like they're equally important. Building my brand and building a community for my borrowers to be a part of is just as important as closing their loan.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with that more as well. So, guys, feel free to put questions in here as we're having this conversation. I know, Shivani, when you and I were prepping back and forth via email and text, I was like, "Hey, what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about?" And you picked the headline for this call, "Time Mastery, Not Time Management." What does that mean, and why did you pick that as call it the main topic of today's conversation?
I get to speak at a lot of events all over the country in the real estate and marketing space. And so I always have a keynote ready to go. And I sat down to map out my keynote for 2025. And I was like, well, what is the question I get asked the most? Like what do I owe in every interview, on every stage, what do people ask me? And what's in my DMs all the time? And it's always, how are you managing everything you do? Like, what's your system? How do you get everything done? How do you produce the volume you produce while having a family with 3 kids and a puppy? Poor choice, by the way, but we're on the other side now. And be in your master's program to be a marriage and family therapist and run all of this and like have time to work out and take care of yourself. It's literally the number one question I get, Dave. No one is interested in much else besides how I'm doing all this. So I thought I'm going to share my system because it's not about time blocking. It's not about cramming as much as you possibly can into a day. The reason I'm able to operate the way I am is because I am a time master, and that gives me mental clarity so I can execute faster. I guarantee most of the people on this call do not have a time problem, they have an execution problem.
So, guys, let's weigh in on that. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 is I am a time master. I know Shivani how she would answer that. She's a 5. Where are you at right now? And regardless of whether you share that in chat, which guys, thank you for doing that. Danny, Michael, so far we're seeing ones, 2.5, 3.
I love the
I
two
want
and a
you,
half, so detail oriented.
yeah, right. I love that. But write it down. Like,
3.8,
forget about
Paul.
sharing it with me. Where are you as a time master right now? And I just want you to, as we just got through the first quarter of this call, we still got 3 more quarters. Be really clear on that. Cody King, everybody, that is Jeremy Forcier's son. He's a awesome young man that has a big future ahead of himself. And you know how I know that? Because I know that he calls me for advice. I know that he's on this call. So good job, Cody. Good to see you here, brother. All right, well let's get into that. I do want to make sure I kicked off a challenge at the beginning of this year or at the beginning of this month with Jeremy Forcier actually, and it's called the Win 30 Challenge. Are you familiar with the Win 30 Challenge, Shivani?
No, fill me in.
So one, it's have 10 conversations a day, every day for 30 days, quality conversations, with realtors, 10 quality conversations. Do 2 TCAs a day, every day for 30 days, and walk for 30 minutes. Jeremy and I are both doing it with Ruckvest, but do at least a 30-minute walk. I average usually about 40, 45 minutes. Just the trails I walk, that's what it takes. And kind of the thesis is if you did those 3 things every day for 30 days, you're gonna do some loans. You're gonna have some quality conversations with a
100%.
mortgage coach. How many TCAs do you think you do per month? What's your guess?
I
Mortgage
don't know, but I
coaches.
have a feeling you know.
Well, I probably do. I will look that up. Paul, make a note of that, and let's find out how many Shivani's doing every month. What's your
I'm
guess?
always the worst when you ask me numbers questions. One time you're like, how much are you closing this month? And I was like, well, I don't know. Which every coach that I've ever worked with would be so mad at me that I don't get that dialed, right? Because it's such, I think in our industry, people have been successful using one of two strategies, right? It's either I'm going to be a numbers player, like I'm going to play the numbers game. It's not necessarily what you guys are doing with this 30-day challenge, but it's like, knock on enough doors, make enough cold calls, just hustle, hustle, hustle. And it works for sure. The other strategy that I've seen that's tried and true is a data-based approach where you share, you lean on the credibility of real estate investing rather than having to build your own credibility. So you can share the history of real estate values, you can share like the projection of where your wealth would go. But I think both of these are missing this piece of the puzzle, and we all can improve, is where I'm going with this. I could improve more by looking at the numbers more and analyzing, like, how many leads do I need to talk to every day? How many TCAs do I need to send out every day? But where I lean in real hard on my business is like connection, right? How much am I connecting with people? And that's why I love Mortgage Coach, because it, from a psychological point, opens the door for you to connect with so many more people. So I could definitely do better on counting how many TCAs I send a week and like setting a goal for that. But what I focus on is like the quality of my TCA. How good is the video? In what ways am I connecting with the person watching this video? How is my TCA making their day easier and making their choice clearer on what to do next steps wise?
Love that. And Pat, by the way, yes, we are recording this. Everybody, if you have not subscribed to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, subscribe to it. Every time I do an interview, whether it's a Tuesday, whether it's just ad hoc interviews that I do, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you'll get a little alert. So make sure you subscribe and check it out. So let's go through it. So how do you define time mastery, and what's your playbook?
Okay, so you have to think that the purpose of all of this, of every little tactical thing I'm about to teach you, comes down to the point of freeing up brain space. Because I think a lot of times on decisions, both big and small, we spend a lot of time circling the drain. So your decision could be as little as who's picking up Johnny from basketball this afternoon, or could be as big as changing companies and switching to a new lender. A lot of times you will find you just circle the drain on this decision and then you reach a point of overwhelm and you push it aside and you move on to the next task. But when you're circling the drain or you're stuck behind a mental roadblock, you're missing the opportunity to be inspired in your business. You're missing the opportunity to connect with the person sitting across from you because your thinking is clouded. So I use time management always from the purpose of not cramming more into a day, but in allowing more negative space that's open time to think so that I can truly be inspired on how to move the needle in my business or how to better connect with my realtors or better connect with my clients. So know that that's the main goal. But I am going to get into some little tactical things that everyone needs to be doing to be masters of their time. Does that sound good?
Sounds awesome. Let's go. And remember, folks, feel free to ask questions in chat. We'll get to them.
So, step one is I use Google Calendar to map out my time blocking. I fought this for a long time. I was stuck behind my own mental roadblock on wanting to use pen to paper, of not liking change, of having shared calendars in Apple, and I resisted the change. The reason that Google Calendar is so key for your time blocking, we all work as mortgage originators. So literally at least 3 times a week, our entire day gets derailed by some surprise. Whether that's rates falling and you need to rearrange your whole Thursday last week to start sending out refinance quotes, or it's an appraisal coming in low, or it's an underwriter giving you conditions you weren't prepared for. It happens no matter how good you are, you get hit with surprises in our job every day. And this is usually the reason people fight me on doing time blocking. You need to use Google Calendar to do your time blocking so that when a surprise comes, you can pick up that block of whatever you're supposed to be doing right now and move it to another spot in the week. It's so easy on Google Calendar, and that's why I recommend using it. So, yes, I'm a huge fan of time blocking. I think it's amazing. Whether you think that our job is too unpredictable, I've got a solution for that. Whether you are too much of a creative and you don't want to be pinned into such a rigid schedule, let me tell you, when you use time blocking effectively, you will have more time to be free spirited. The goal on your Google Calendar and with your time blocking is as much white space as possible. When you're mastering your time and you get really good at this, it will be less robotic and there'll be more white space for you to do whatever inspires you. When you're
Hey,
using this,
well, I did want to give a push. Everyone on here, what calendar are you using? What technology do you use? We use Google as well here. I mean, I use Google Sheets, Google Docs. I personally like to look at my calendar through Exchange, Outlook Exchange, but I use Google as my main calendar. So we got Outlook, Google. And remember, guys, you can use Outlook and still have Google,
yep, my Outlook
which,
syncs to my Google.
yeah, so same thing. So far it looks like we've got a lot of Outlook folks. So, okay, anyways, keep going. Didn't want to distract you.
So, a lot of you guys will make a to-do list, right? Because you want to be really productive. So you'll sit down and you'll get organized and you'll make a to-do list for the next day. What I've learned about psychology in my master's program is a to-do list is actually a really dangerous thing for your mental health because you sit down and you make this to-do list and you're coming from a place with such good intentions and you're so aspirational and you write down all the things you're going to get done. And this helps. It starts to help relieve anxiety because you put it all pen to paper, you see what's actually out in front of you and what needs to get done. And then the next day starts, you wake up, you have purpose, you know what you need to focus on, things are going well. You start checking things off your to-do list and it feels so good. I freaking love the feeling of checking something off my to-do list. But then the day gets going and the appointments and the dentist and getting the kids to school and then this meeting with the buyer and then this lunch with a realtor that went 30 minutes too long. And then it's one thing after the next and the rest of the to-do list doesn't get done. So then at the end of the day, you're sitting there and you're feeling a little discouraged now because you didn't finish your to-do list. So you don't make a new to-do list for tomorrow because you didn't finish yesterday's to-do list. So now you're going to sleep feeling a little bit defeated. And when you wake up the next day, you wake up feeling behind. And now you've put yourself in a compromised position confidence-wise, and overall your outlook is not as positive. Here's what I think the problem is with a to-do list. You're not scheduling the time to do the to-do list. So you make the to-do list the night before, but then you look at your schedule, you look at your Google Calendar, your Outlook for the next day, and you schedule when you're going to actually do these things. And one, you'll see, okay, well, I actually only have 2 hours of deep work time tomorrow. Like, this isn't going to work. So you'll either start rearranging some of your appointments or your obligations, or you'll adjust your to-do list and find time later in the week to get this stuff done and set yourself up to succeed. Does that make sense, Dave?
Yeah.
Do you see how the to-do list could kind of be like a vice rather than a tool?
Well, I mean, here's like I think in the mortgage industry, there's a lot of ways to win. And I think when it comes to time mastery, there's a lot of ways to win. You know, there are different personalities and different people. Um, like time blocking never worked for me, and I went decades of letting myself down, you know, because I couldn't follow it. I mean,
And it made you
I'm
feel
ADD,
defeated.
dyslexic. Yeah, so there's ways. And then I read Getting Things Done by David Allen and started implementing the savage version of getting things done. So I guess my only debate is I don't think there is any one way. I think we're very unique people. And you know, like Tim Brahim, to me, one of the all-time greats, you know, Mr. Time Blocker, Mr. Super Scheduled, you know, he's got his open space scheduled and everything. And like what works for me doesn't work for him. So my only debate is I just don't think there is only one way. But there is a
I think
Shivani
that's a
way.
really good, I think that's a really good point, specifically what you brought up about ADD, because I have ADHD. And so my entire time blocking thing is mapped around creating opportunities for deep work. I want to have the opportunity to hyper focus because I know what I'm capable of when I do that. A lot of people with ADD and ADHD, we've learned in the mental health industry, they struggle with creating that zone and they think that it's not something that they have any authority over. You know, they struggle with using their superpower for hyperfocus because they don't know when it's going to strike for them. And what I found for me personally, to speak to your point of everyone's different, I can actually create the opportunity for myself to hyperfocus and get deep work done using my time mastery.
So let's pause on that because I did this program through Darren Hardy years ago called Insane Productivity, and he called them jam sessions, you know, and they were 90-minute blocks of time to do the deep work. And I will tell you, after going through that, multiple week program, that was my biggest takeaway. That was the biggest thing I implemented. But I also found for me to schedule 90 minutes, I could hyper focus for 90 minutes. So I do 45-minute jam sessions
Good
and
for
I
you for
I
figuring that
I
out.
I hyper focus, and I would tell you that is probably the most valuable thing I do is schedule jam sessions to do deep work. But
And you know
I,
that's time blocking, right?
yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. Yeah, boom.
Because see, people will say to me,
We're
"Hey,
getting a little
I don't
therapy
want,"
lesson here, guys.
well, I am, I graduate in December. So they say that, I don't want, I don't work like that. It being like this doesn't work for me. So then you do your time blocking so it's not like this. You know what I mean? You
Right.
have to make it your own to speak to your point, Dave. And the more you learn about yourself, the more you practice it. I tell all my coaching clients that they have to do it with me for the 6 months. When we're done, they might find their own version of time blocking where they adapt it like you have and they make it their own. That's great. That's the goal. You'll find as you practice this, hey, I'm better at some things. Like I'm better at doing some things a certain time of day. That's when it works for me and that's when it doesn't. But if you never do the time blocking, you never do this introspection and you never learn what works for you and what doesn't. Like, I think it's badass that you tried time blocking for long enough to figure out there's pieces of it you don't like because that takes introspection. That's, I think, the challenge I want to give everyone. Use one method or another of time mastery, but be introspective enough that you try it and you figure out what works for you and what doesn't.
How many first of all, what are the blocks of time that you set aside for deep work? Like I said, I'm 45 minutes. Darren Hardy's 90. What is the Shivani time?
My magic zone for deep work is 3 hours.
Holy shit.
If I can
Yeah.
get a space of 3 hours where I can just like turn on my focus frequency, I use the Soak app. If you guys don't have it, I think it's really cool. But
Soak, SOAK.
SOAAK, they just got contracted with the Air Force for their frequencies for pilots.
Really? We're gonna have to
So
check
they're
out the
legit.
Soak app, everybody. Someone put a link to that in chat just so we all have a little tune into that.
So I'll get my busy work and the tasks I don't love and all that shit done, the meetings, and I'll cater my day so that I'm going to have this 3 hour block, typically from 1 to 4, where I can go in, all in, and work. And I can't even tell you like the feeling of success afterwards of how much you get done, how inspired you get, how you just keep riding the momentum. So, next step, that's a little tactical tip for this time mastery thing. On Sundays, you guys, especially those of you that are a part of a family, you have a partner, or maybe you have kids, you got to map out your whole week on Sundays. You have to sit down. Me and my husband have a team meeting on Sundays. We try to make it fun. We have wine and charcuterie, and we look at the whole upcoming week. Like, we have 3 kids and a dog. So, all 3 kids are in multiple sports each. We both work in very demanding industries. Like we sit down on Sunday and we say, well, who's taking the kids to school this day? What day do you have to leave early? What day do you have a flight out this week? When will you be back? Who's going to get Krish to soccer? Well, Krish doesn't play soccer. Don't even know why I said that. Who's going to get Krish to flag football while Nick's at karate, while Anju needs to be going to bed early because she doesn't nap at preschool? Like we have to map this all out on Sundays. But do you know how amazing it is in the morning hustle to not be looking at each other and being like, well, who's doing tonight? I don't know. I'll text you later. Who's going to pick up Anju? It's the same time every Tuesday that she has to be picked up. And one of us is looking at the other one like, are you dumb? Like all of that is eliminated, all that tension. You do it on Sunday. You have a 1 hour team meeting, whatever you like to do. If you're not into drinking, you get your sparkling water, or maybe you do this on a walk on the beach if you love somewhere beautiful like Dave. Like you just map it all out on Sunday and free up so much brain space for yourself for the whole week. You don't know how much it's like wasting your precious, precious brain cells that could have figured out the exact right time to reach out to this client and what they needed to hear to get them off the fence to buy that home because you were too busy last minute scrambling, making lunches in the morning. Map it all out on Sunday.
Okay,
Set
I'm
yourself
down
up
with
for
that.
mental clarity. And then the last point, which Dave kind of got to early, was to respect the schedule, respect what's working for you, and take it a little more seriously than you want to. And this, again, is not to take away those of you who are creatives, who are free spirits. I'm not trying to put you in a box. I'm actually trying to give you more space to live outside the box by getting the shit in the box done faster. So respect it. Don't fight it. If you've never tried time blocking, but you've heard about it and you're on this call watching, try it, you guys. Try it for the next 2 weeks and just see. Just commit to going all in on it. If you've tried it before and it didn't work, then instead of saying it's not for you, I want you to do a little introspection and think to yourself, why? What didn't work about it for me? What didn't I like?
I am loving this. So, Darren Hardy, Sunday planning, check. Link to the Soak app. Make sure you guys click on that. Don't download it while we're talking here, but do it later. By the way, what is the Soak app? Just so we have a little bit of elevator
The
pitch
free,
from you.
well, it'll give you all these frequencies. I should have a commissionable link here, I feel. Um, it'll give you all these frequencies for sleeping better, for hyper focus, for detoxing your cells. Basically, it's like sound therapy. And if you want to, you can underlay it under the music you're listening to. Your phone will let you play both. You can underlay it under this interview that we're doing right now. You can use it for anxiety. When you get an email from your underwriter, you could turn on the anti-anxiety one. There's a mood boost, there's energy boost, there's high vibrations, there's ones for workouts when you're working out to get the most out of it. Your cells are always open receiving this stuff. You could choose what you put in, right?
Love it. Sounds interesting. Can't wait to drill down on it.
I love it. It works for me. I put it on when my kids are all fighting with each other too. And I swear it works faster on kids because their cells are more pure.
So a couple things, and I don't want to take you off your flow and how you want to give the lesson, but I do want to make sure we tie your time mastery. That if you were doing the challenge, I'm going to have 10 conversations every day for 30 days. I'm going to do two TCAs every day for 30 days, and I'm going to do a 30-minute or more walk. How would you plan for that? How would you schedule that so that you executed on that?
Well, I've been in the mortgage coach community too long to not lean into the win by noon concept. So I would probably stack some of this stuff in the morning. Like, I think it's great to get outside and get some fresh air and do your walk and like get the blood flowing in your body before the day starts, you know? That might not work for everyone here, but for me, it's worth it to get up 30 minutes earlier than my kids and get this done, you know? So if it were me personally, I'd do the walk first thing. I'd schedule the time to do the calls not first thing because everybody else getting to their desk at 9 a.m. doesn't want you calling. That's not the best time to reach them. So I would do my TCAs then to put it in the client's inbox so that they can view it at a time that's convenient to them. That's the beauty of the video, right? You make it at a time that's convenient for you. It can be watched at a time that's convenient for them and rewatched. So I'd get those into their inbox first. And then I would probably do my calls more middle of the day, like give people a chance to get settled in and maybe start my calls around 11 to 12. Block that time to get those calls in.
Yeah, but get it done by noon. You heard that. And then a philosophy that I have, for me, it's win by 7, and it's win personally by 7. Like get up early enough to journal. I do cold plunge. I get my 30 to 40-minute walk in. I try to get that done by 7. Sometimes it's 8. And I do realize to get all that done by 7, it's not for everybody, but I would push everybody have whatever you need to do to be your best personal self done. Call it by 7, by 8. I don't think it's by 9, but whatever. I do know people that kick ass and get the personal stuff done by 9, and then get your business, your calls, your TCAs, get that done by noon. You aligned with that? Like it sounds like that's how you would roll.
I want to derail you now for a second.
Bring it.
Um, I've been all in on the cold plunging,
Oh, cool.
but now in the last 2 weeks, have you seen all this new research and data that's circulating?
Um,
Specifically for women that were not supposed to be cold plunging
Well,
at all.
well, no, time out. It's the my wife did forward that to me because I'm always pushing her to do it, that you don't need it as cold for women and you don't need to do it as long. And so and here's my philosophy. So I have a lot of friends that will do the cold plunge and they'll do it at like 30 something or 40 something. And all the science I see that as long as it's under 59 degrees, it's good enough. So we have our cold plunge set at 54. And I do 3 minutes, but if my wife does it, she's not going to do it 3 minutes. So I don't know. I still think I'm not going to comment for women. I know for me personally, like I feel like I'm 20 years old in terms of just my body, my aching for at least an hour or two after I do it. So I know like I'm addicted to it now. And I've been doing it for about a
You
year and
put
a
your
half.
head in?
When I first get in, I'll put my head in just to get a little reset. And then I very quickly take it out. And then I just lay there for 3 to 4 minutes. And
So
I would
I
say
am
it's
all in
become
on
my
the
most creative time. Like I always set an intention in my head, like what am I going to think about? And could be a conversation or every Monday I do a post to producing managers. So I'll get in and say, okay, what am I going to say today? And I go in there. And so I have found that that cold plunge time is my most creative time. Like I come up with some of my best ideas. And then it also makes the time just fly. Like, like
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
because you're
do,
thinking about something good.
yeah, thinking about something that I'm engaged with.
So I'm circling the drain on cold plunging because I've been doing it. I really, my focus this year is mental clarity for sure. And I 100% notice a difference between if I put my head in and I don't. Because you instantly, this brain fog disappears when you put your head in, right? But
Right.
all the girls on the call know we can't get our hair wet every day. So it's not going to happen. But I notice a difference between when your head goes in and when you're not. I set mine at 46 degrees and I go in for 3.5 minutes. But to be honest, I'm not noticing anything really different except for faster recovery. Like I'm able to work out more. But now I got this article this morning from someone saying that it's actually a study, some study was done on men saying it decreased their muscle mass, their ability to build muscle.
Well, time out. That study, you don't want to cold plunge after you work out, or that will happen. So I mean, at least what I read, and I verified that with a couple people in the health. So yeah, you should not be working out or get in the plunge after you work
You
out,
should do it
or
before.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the protocols are do the plunge before you work out, and then for you, I would push you to raise it to like 54 degrees. First of all, it's not as painful because like I wanted to make it so it's like a daily habit. And if I
Yeah.
had it at 45 degrees, it would not be a daily habit. Like it would just, it's too painful. And then I would push you like, don't worry about 3 minutes. I interviewed a guy who, God, what's the guy's name? Paul, text me the guy's name that has the whole, all the science on cold plunging. And he said, really, the only thing you need to focus on is long enough to get calm. So he's like, if you can get in there, change your state, get calm, which might take 30 seconds to a minute, you've got 80% of the value. Uh, now, again, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I would tell you,
You guys like this conversation about cold plunging, or do you want us to get back on track?
yeah, I think we need to get back on track.
I'm just like I want to know what to do now because I've been doing this for a year, so I'm asking everyone I know.
Yeah, well, we'll carry on via text on this one, but we are down a rabbit hole that probably doesn't everybody on the call doesn't need.
Everybody, I think that you should take from this, the takeaway from this call is you always make the best decision you can with the information available. When the information changes, you make new decisions. That's, I
Yeah,
think, huge because people are always scared to post something on social media when it comes to marketing or interest rates or loan products because what if they're wrong and it changes? People are always worried to give their client advice because what if it changes? You give the best advice you can with the information you have available. It doesn't stop you from making another good decision when more information is available.
yeah, and to me, the takeaway should be for everyone is always be serious about being your best self. Like whatever that is. Um, like the best people I've interviewed, they have a few things in common. One, they have best practices that are their best practices that they consistently execute daily, and they're always adjusting. They're like, oh, there's a new idea, I'm going to adjust, and then they're executing consistently. One thing you did said I wanted to call out because you mentioned video and what percentage of your mortgage coach TCAs are you putting a video on, and how important is video to your overall playbook?
Oh, I would say I don't send a TCA without a video, and I send a lot of TCAs. I always put a video on it. The only exception to the rule, so I'd say 99% have videos on them. The 1% exception would be when I'm sending one late at night and I'll do audio only because I don't want to scare them with what I look like at night. Other than
Yeah,
that, they always have a video.
good. Yeah, and I would push everybody. I did an interview yesterday with Shay Lorraine, Kelly Zitlow's YouTube strategist. And by the way, you can check it out. I'll put a link down below. She's talking about how to win with YouTube. And Shay and Kelly are actually doing a webinar tomorrow. We'll put a link in
Kelly's
chat.
the best.
Kelly is the best. And by the way, Kelly goes to Forward every single year. By the way, did Neil sell it out? Does he still have any tickets left for that?
As of last night, I don't know. It was getting really close to being sold out.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that, there'll be last minute people who their plans change and they couldn't come. So there'll be tickets available later, but I'm pretty sure this one's going to be sold out very fast,
Yeah,
any day
guys,
now.
I went last year and it was amazing. You know, truly one of the best events I've ever been from a personal development standpoint. So check it out. We'll
Yeah,
get a
it's not
link.
your average mortgage conference.
Oh no. No, no, no.
It's
It's
way more focused on personal development and marketing.
yeah, personal development marketing. And if you always work on being your best self and you're a great marketer, you're always going to have a seat at the table in the mortgage space. At least that's my
Alrighty.
thesis.
I think everything we that I've learned from these Tuesday calls in the mortgage coach community have not just made me a better loan officer or team leader. They've helped me be a better professional in general because it's about providing value. It's about providing an amazing experience. It's about providing transparent advice. It's about showing up every day and being the best version of your role that you can. It applies in so many ways, guys, just like this time mastery stuff. I hope it's going to help you be a better spouse, better parent, ultimately a better executor, but I think there's a lot of other side benefits along the way.
Okay, I'm going to ask some questions because I want to get like
Nitty
at
gritty.
least three, if not five checks of what is time mastery to Shivani. By the way, guys, as I'm asking her these questions, I want you to just answer them for yourself. Just write it on a piece of paper. I'm not asking you to share it with us. If you do want to share it in comments, feel free. But, I got win by noon. So you're serious about winning by noon. I got that planning on Sundays, with your husband or your life partner, and have a playbook, have it in your calendar. Shivani uses Google. A lot of you guys use Outlook. Reminder, guys, you can use Google or Outlook with Google. Outlook is just a piece of software from an interface perspective. Um, she uses MortgageCoach, so she's doing total cost analysis with everyone. She's given every consumer a great experience. What are some other things? Just like if there were 3 to 5 things that you could, at the end of the week, go, I did this, I did this, I did this, I won the week. What would those things be?
So what you're gearing yourself up to do, which is on the other coin of this to-do list dilemma that I shared, was you want to put yourself in a position, and this totally aligns with what Dave's doing with cold plunging. You want to put yourself in a position of winning already, right? Like, I can do hard things. I'm psychologically set up to succeed. I feel like a boss instead of a loser, right? When you manage your time all week well, then you'll be able to look back and say, not just I got my to-do list done, but also I was present this week. Like I don't need a list of 3 to 4 things that I did to know that the week was a win. I want to be able to look back on the week and be like, when I was meeting with clients, I was there. I was present. I was locked in. When I was at that meeting with the realtor or took them to lunch, I was present. I was there. I was locked in. When I was doing my work at my desk, I was locked in. When I was with my family, I was where my feet were and I was present. That to me is the goal of time mastery. But there's one more skill set I want to share with you guys to help you achieve the mental clarity real quick before we finish today, because it's a huge part of time mastery, because the ultimate goal is to be a better executor. I think I can give you a 4-step decision making skill set that you can use that'll help you be a better executor. And it's the level 2 of time mastery. Do you want me to share it, Dave?
Well, no, we don't want to know about that.
You don't like it?
Just kidding. Just kidding. Let's go.
It's not for everyone. My motto, basically, I'm not for everyone. Okay. So I said at the beginning that you guys all have these decisions that you struggle with, and you don't realize when you're circling the drain how much you're wasting brain space that you could use to get inspired. You'll watch, like, if you look at a TCA, right? Jeremy Forcier will say, send a TCA, and the one I love was where he showed the target refi rate. Like, you can buy this house, here's the target refi rate and what it would look like in the future. And I watch his video and I look at him. I've done thousands of TCAs. I think you told me recently, like, I can't remember if it was 2,800 this like total that I've done, but
It,
anyways,
it-
I've
it
done a
was
ton.
thousands. It was thousands. It was over 2,000. I'm going to try to, Paul, look up Shivani's back end numbers and let's find out how many she's done.
So I'll still watch Jeremy's or Shayla's or someone else's and think, man, that was amazing how they said it, right? You want to have the brain space that when you go to record your TCA, you articulate yourself so well because you have ultimate mental clarity. So here's the deal. Whatever decision you guys are struggling with, everyone on the call has one. And like I said, it might be big, it might be small. Think right now, get it in your head. You don't have to put it in the chat, but get it in your head. What decision are you struggling with today? Now, here's the problem. We don't ever focus on anything anymore. We've like lost the ability as people. If I'm watching a show and the show has a slow part, I look at my phone. If I'm being really honest with you guys, I take my phone to the bathroom here so I can answer Teams messages or emails. I return phone calls while I drive or I listen to a podcast because God forbid I just sit alone with my thoughts. We're so committed to multitasking that it's ruining everything, I think. We need to retrain our brains to focus so that we can be elite executors. So, whatever decision you guys just thought of that you need to figure out, I want you to schedule 20 to 30 minutes today that you're going to think about it. You're not going to do anything else, but just think about this decision. You're going to focus on it, hyper focus. You're going to make yourself, the second step is you're going to make yourself a pros and cons list, but it's going to be brutally honest because you're never going to share with anyone. So, like I said, if it's a big decision like moving companies, you're going to write the pros and cons, not what you think you're supposed to feel about it, not what you wish you felt about it, just how you truly actually feel. Write it down, pen to paper, or pen to remarkable if that's what you use. Again, no one's ever going to see it, so you're going to be truly honest. When the timer goes up on that 20 to 30 minutes, you're going to make a decision. It's done. You have to decide. But here's the kicker. Step 4. You're going to sit on your decision for 24 hours. So I have a loan officer in Colorado who I coach, and she was struggling 2 years ago with the decision to keep her LOA or let her go because the branch's P&L wasn't looking great, and her LOA was on maternity leave. And so while she was on maternity leave, she was realizing that she could dive back into her own business and do some of this stuff and perfect her systems, and it had been long overdue. But this girl's her friend, and she's like, how am I going to let someone go who's my friend on maternity leave? Like, that's terrible. So I told her we're going to make a decision in the next 20 minutes. You're going to decide what to do. And then you're going to sit on it over the weekend, and we're going to connect on Monday, and you're going to tell me how it sat with you, how the decision felt. She decided to let her go over the weekend. She sat with her decision. She started to feel more confident about it. And then her brain space opened up. And she thought, oh my gosh, there's another branch in my city that I could move her to so that she doesn't end up without a job, so that she's not screwed, so that someday if I wanted to have her back and stars aligned, I could. And she was able to execute on her decision better because she had mental clarity. So my challenge for you guys is you make your decision at the end of 20 to 30 minutes and then you sit with it for 24 hours to see how you feel and what mental clarity you achieve surrounding it so that you can execute on it better. Questions?
Well, first of all, I love that 20 to 30 minute journaling time. What you really described is in journal on that. And so guys, first of all, use the little reaction and give me a thumbs up if you have something. Who on this call right now has something, a decision that you think, I need to make a decision on, I'm not making a decision on, it's taking up space, it's slowing me down, it's bogging me. If you have something like that going on, I mean, I'm pretty sure almost at all time in my life, there's something like that going on in my life.
That you're trying
And
to
then
decide on.
yeah, and then I love the idea of just scheduling 20, 30 minutes. You're gonna do nothing but journal on that one thing. And then I love that you're like, and then after you make the decision, sit on it for a day or two, but then make a decision. So I love that. Ashley just said, what was, oh, by the
Step
way,
three is that at
Shivani,
the end of the 20 to 30 minutes, your decision is made.
oh,
Step
got it.
three is
So step
actually
three
make the
is
decision.
do it, do it.
And
And
then step
uh,
four is sit on it for 24 hours before you take action. So
yeah,
many
by the way,
people tell
guys,
me I'm not a good decision maker. Like I'm just not a good executor. My brain isn't wired like that. I have a really hard time. I struggle with indecision, paralysis analysis, perfectionism. You can rewire your brain, you guys. I think it's the most optimistic thing I've learned in my master's program is the neuroplasticity of the human brain. It can be rewired. We can overcome past traumas. We can create new pathways in our brains. We can retrain and rewire our brains to be whatever we want them to be.
love that. By the way, guys, Shivani has created 2,851 mortgage coach total cost analysis. And to me, guys, that just shows what a pro, like to have met with that many people, found out what their goals are, found out what their needs are, and then deliver that experience. So, anyways, great job, Shivani. That's a lot.
Thank you.
So we are in the last 8 minutes. Anything you haven't shared that you want to make sure gets shared within the idea of time mastery, or we could go down any other trails. I know you're doing a lot to empower women in your local community. We could talk about what you're doing with your
I'm
nonprofit,
never going
and
to miss an opportunity to talk about the future as female.
yeah, let's talk
So,
about the future as female. Let's go.
because I'm a time master, it's given me the opportunity to do other things that inspire me. And during the pandemic, I found that women were being pushed out of the workforce in wild numbers. They said it would take us a decade to overcome the progress we'd lost towards gender equality in the workplace. But then I was thinking about it as a working mom and who constantly feels like I'm on a hamster wheel. Like, who said that women really wanted to climb the corporate ladder? And who said we want to shatter a glass ceiling? Like, I look at all my clients who are the happiest, which is interesting, right? Because as a mortgage advisor, we get very personal with people, right? We give them a full financial colonoscopy, but at the same time, we also get to know them on a human level and learn what they want, what their wants and what their needs are. And so I'm looking at all these people's finances and I'm inside them. I have the unique opportunity of being inside and I see that the most financially secure have multiple streams of income. They're not only like a physician working 9 to 5, they're a physician who also invests in real estate. Or if they're, if they have a situation in their family where one person's the provider and the other person's the caretaker for the family, oftentimes I found that caretaker had some sort of side hustle that was generating passive to somewhat active income. And I thought, well, I'm going to start educating women on real estate investing because this is a passive income stream that I know about. Now I get it. Real estate investing can be more active than passive. It's arguable if real estate investing is truly passive income. But my point was everyone has this house, right? This financial house. And the more pillars that I can educate them on to have supporting their house, the more financially secure they'll be. So I was able to start The Future is Female. And the way we do it is it's an event focused on empowering women as real estate investors. And I bring together speakers to share their own different stories. But nobody comes in there to flex. Everybody comes in to say, like, here's how I got started. You probably would never think you could do it the way I did, but you can. Here are the mistakes I made. Here's what you can learn from them. By the way, do you want to collaborate on the next investment or project? And so it's grown, but the whole time, every time we meet online or in person, we're raising money for a charity here in Reno called the Women and Children's Center of the Sierra. And so far, we've raised $70,000 for them, and they provide resources to help women get out of poverty.
Love that. Congratulations on the impact that you're making. And love that it's focused on helping people create wealth with real estate, which we know. I do believe when it comes to mortgage and real estate professionals, uh, if you guys want to Amazon proof, rocket proof, AI proof your business, you will go beyond just doing mortgage transactions. Now, does that mean you need to be a fix and flipper or a long-term real estate investor? Maybe you do, but you need to help families make those decisions. You need to be a leader beyond just closing a loan on time. So I love that you're doing that. We should do more collaborations and maybe even think of a way that we could collaborate with First Home
Oh
IQ
my, yeah.
and your nonprofit.
It would be so cool because the thing is like what I would say to everyone on the call in response to what Dave just said about find something that goes beyond. The future as female was like a lifeline during when the market was tough and interest rates hit 8% and no one wanted to talk about buying and selling. I had to keep showing up for my future as female community. I had to keep providing value. I had to continue to be a source of calm. I had to give them the news, whether it was good or bad, and tell them what to do with it. You want to create some setup in your business that forces you to show up, regardless of what the market's doing, because it will basically systemize your consistency, regardless of market factors.
Well, Shivani, I am so grateful for you. Any closing thoughts, whether it has to do with time management, just has to do with the market, any closing thoughts as we wrap up today's 10X interview?
Yeah, I just want to expand on the whole concept that you can do whatever you want to do. You can rewire your brain to be an executor if you're not. If you feel constantly stressed and like you never have enough time, you can take control of that situation, guys. If you feel like the news is beating you down and all these headlines and the whipsaws in the markets and with mortgage bonds, you can create a plan around whatever challenge you have right now. If you focus on it, you are capable of finding the solution and you can make your brain work however you want it to work. You don't have to be limited by what you believe about yourself, whether that's, oh, I'm ADD, so I can't do this, or, oh, I started in the industry at the wrong time when the market was in the wrong part of the cycle, so I'm disadvantaged in this way. None of that is true. There's literally no barriers keeping you in the spot you are except for yourself. The only
Yeah.
difference between me watching the interviews 10 years ago and me being on the interview now is execution. That's it. It's just taking action every day.
Couldn't agree more. So as we wrap this up, for someone who just asked about First Home IQ, I put a link to the quiz. This is a free 20 question quiz that it's designed for Gen Z and homeownership readiness, but it will take you to the website and you can learn more about First Home IQ. Also, Shivani was one of the keynote speakers at the Modern Mortgage Summit. So all of that content is available at modernmortgageiq.com. I also put a link to the free quiz. Well, it's not a quiz, it's more of an assessment. It'll take you about 3 to 5 minutes and it will tell you where you're at as a modern mortgage professional, what level you're at. So I hope you got value from today. If you have not already subscribed to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, subscribe today. If you want to follow along and play this Win 30 challenge with myself, Jeremy Forcier, Sean Herrero, hundreds of other mortgage professionals, go to the Mortgage Coach Mastermind group, and we have pinned to the top a few scorecards that you can use. It's a pretty simple challenge, but go check that out. Share your stories. Shivani just shared. Oh, Shivani, you shared your Instagram to panelists. I'm going to copy and paste this to
Ooh,
everyone.
thank you.
Guys, so if you want to say thank you to Shivani, follow her on Instagram. She just put a link to that. And send her a private message. Just say thank you for the leadership. Like if you got value from this call, if you're watching this on the YouTube video, we'll have the link to Shivani's Instagram. So let her know you appreciate the value she brought today. Shivani, I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Have an awesome day. This is a wrap, everybody. Take care.